Right, so ladies and gentlemen, we've just had Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder getting it done by split decision. Now, this was the fight I expected. The outcome was a little bit different, and the specifics of which were also a little bit different. I expected Wilder to be a bit more tentative than he was, and of course expected Derek Chisora to get the win. Now, this was not a technical fight whatsoever. This was a slugfest. The title of this video is a sloppy send-off, which kind of sounds like a dodgy adult movie title. But moving on from that, yeah, this was just a bar brawl between two guys who honestly look like they've fucking never laced gloves up in their life. Both men are shot to pieces. Coordination was bad. The speed on the punches was terrible. It was an absolute fucking travesty to watch, but it was entertaining. But from a technical perspective, it was fucking god awful. Now, with all that being said, what can we take away from this fight? Well, we could take away that, first of all, Derek Chisora shot, which we knew. We knew his coordination wasn't good. We knew he'd slowed down dramatically. His head movement on the front foot wasn't the same. And with Wilder, we know that his skill set is limited when that power is taken away from him. We know his explosiveness and his speed's gone. He slaps with his shots. His legs are poor, they look weak. Nothing. We didn't really learn anything new other than the fact that Deontay Wilder may have just enough heart left in him, or maybe not enough is maybe not the right word, but may have some heart left in him, because he fought, with his heart in there, and he got the job done, which I didn't really expect. I really thought Chisora would really overshadow Wilder in that department. I thought Chisora would be the one who really wanted it, and of course Chisora definitely did want it, and he gave it a good effort, but the accuracy just wasn't there from Chisora. He just wasn't able to put enough offense together to really, really trouble Wilder. He had a few moments where he'd land a few good club and right hands, but the problem with the problem with Chisora and his big overhand shots is that he doesn't turn the punches over. So they've never been as powerful as they could be, and they've been powerful anyway. So, if he did turn them over, imagine what he could do. But I believe Chisora said he was going to retire. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really watch the post-fight interviews. Listen, it's up in the air if he does retire, even if he says he is, with a guy like Derek Chisora. But I believe Deontay Wilder is, of course, going to fight on, and I think the best fight for Deontay Wilder next is Anthony Joshua. I think that's a big fight. I think it makes a lot of sense for both men. Of course, Anthony Joshua coming off that horrific car accident, the win over Jake Paul, but really, in boxing terms, he's coming off the defeat to Daniel Dubois. So I think those who should get it on, I'd be picking Anthony Joshua to win that, easily. Yeah, man, this was really a good fight. A sloppy fight, technically, to watch. Maybe if you're just a fan of technical, good boxing, really wasn't a fight for you. But it was an entertaining watch, and an interesting watch, to say the least. I felt like the ref was a bit harsh and wild with the point deduction. I felt like the second knockdown was a bit harsh on Derek Chisora. I didn't feel like that was a knockdown. But yeah, decent fight, about what I expected. The wrong outcome. It's the third fight I've picked wrong this year, in terms of videos. The other two being Josh Kelly versus Bakram Murzaliyev and Dalton Smith versus Subaru Matias. So I've only got 3 wrong this year, so not too bad. Yeah, man, there's really not much I can say about this fight at all. It was just a technical travesty. In boxing terms, but fair play to both men. Both men are safe, well, at the end of the day. But I don't particularly want to see either man fight on, especially Derek Chisora. Deontay Wilder's right up there in the IBF rankings now. I'm going to assume he will be anyway. Well, which means, it's interesting. You've got Frank Sanchez versus Richard Torres Jr. on the Usyk Rico Van Hooven undercard, which I believe is an IBF eliminator. I don't believe it's a final eliminator. I just believe it's a standard eliminator. Maybe Wilder get booked against one of them two, or ordered to fight one of them two in a final eliminator. Maybe him and Joshua will be booked in an eliminator. I could honestly see that happening. But yeah, man, I think Wilder's going to be a very popular name in the coming months, because I feel like a lot of people are going to see him as such an easy fight, because I really don't think he's hitting with that same power anymore, man. I really don't. I believe a lot of it came from speed and explosiveness, and I just don't believe it's there anymore. And even if it is there, which if his last two fights haven't proven to you it's not there, I don't know what to say. The shots are so slow now, you can see him coming, and I think anybody with who's competent could beat him. I could see the likes of a Jamie TKV beating him, and he's British level. I could just see him bullying him. I think Wilder's going to be a very, very, very heavily called out name in the coming months. But fair play to him. This is probably the best win of his career, actually. Yeah, because you got to think about what has Luis Ortiz done. What's Luis Ortiz's best win? You know what I mean? I think Derek Chisora is a better win than Lewis. This is the best win of it. I did not expect Deontay Wilder to have a good win left in him, let alone the best win of his career. I guess that does speak to how poor his resume has been. But yeah, that's all I've got to say about this fight. It was a good fight. It was an entertaining watch. Bit messy, but yeah. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.